Bayern still want Sane, Mourinho wants defensive cover, Juve are going to have to pay big money, Jong needs to change, and the transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, our new Bayern Munich president Herbert Hainer has admitted that the club are still interested in bringing Leroy Sane to the club. The German champions have been looking at him ever since last summer, but of course he suffered that injury in the Community Shield and hasn't played since. The president saying that he has been keeping a track on Sane, he is aware that he's going to be returning to training soon and that he wants to bring him in whether it's this summer or within the next few years. He said that Bayern Munich of course are planning to become champions of Germany as many years in a row as they can, but as well as this, they want to bring the Champions League back to the club. They plan to do this with Sane in mind, and with the upcoming Champions League in 2022 being held at the Allianz Arena, they'll be hoping that Sane and the club are hand in hand to lift the trophy then. But next up, and to Jose Mourinho, who while sporting a brand new haircut has also admitted that he wants to bring in a few defensive players. This is because it looks like Jan Vertonghen will be leaving in the summer. Now there have been plenty of rumours flying about as to who Mourinho and Spurs will be bringing in, but two names on the list include Nathan Ake of Bournemouth and Ruben Dias from Benfica. As with Nathan Ake, well, he seems like a ready-made replacement for Vertonghen. He is a left-footed, left-sided centre-half who can also play in at left-back. It's pretty much the perfect fit. Elsewhere, and Juan Foyth seems to be out of favour, Toby Alderweireld is the wrong size of 30, and so it basically leaves Japhet Tanganga, the inexperienced Tanganga, and Davinson Sanchez as the only recognisable centre-backs. So the other one that Mourinho is looking at is apparently Ruben Dias. Now, bear in mind, they're going to have to make a bit of a fight if they want the Benfica defender's signature. It's been rumoured that both Manchester clubs are also interested in bringing him in, and I think this actually started when Mourinho was in charge at Manchester United. So not only does Jose Mourinho want them for a few years, but that's probably where this whole rumour began in the first place. Next up, and if Juventus want to bring Riccardo Orsolini back from Bologna, they're going to have to pay around 70 million euros. That is according to the Bologna sporting director Walter Sabatini, who said that there is no such thing as a buyback clause in this current deal from Juventus. The midfielder joined the club on loan last January and made the deal permanent before the 1920 season. So, according to the sporting director, he's pretty much able to put any sort of price tag he wants on the midfielder. Now, if Juventus were to go back in for someone they let go, it makes them look rather sheepish, especially when they're going to go ahead and pay 70 million euros. Of course, there are plenty of other targets out there, but Orsolini's brilliant performances this season in Serie A have definitely made him one to keep an eye on in the future. Along with this, they've also signed Dejan Kulusevski, which means they've got a pretty good midfield when it comes to looking towards the next few seasons. And next up, away from the transfer news, and to Frenkie de Jong, who apparently is playing in the wrong position. This is according to his former coach at Ajax, and still the current Ajax manager, Erik ten Hag, who said that Quique Setien is playing de Jong too far forward. Now, there are basically two sides to this story. On one hand, Ten Hag knows the player. He coached him last season, he had a brilliant relationship and helped de Jong reach the heights that he's at now. The kind of heights which saw Barcelona pay 75 million euros for the Dutchman. Of course, he also helped de Jong lead them to the semi-finals of the Champions League. But on the flip side of this, I also think maybe he's picking up new skills at Barcelona. He's learning something new. Maybe Setien and the club have seen something in him that they think will help him going forward, like getting on the end of all the assists and actually scoring a few goals. We saw him make a brilliant late run into the box for his goal against Betis, but Ten Hag thinks that he's better when supplying the passes and supplying the assists rather than scoring the goals himself. Of course, basically, this pretty much means that de Jong is a fantastic midfielder, and if one amazing club thinks he can play in one position and one brilliant club thinks he can play in another, well, he's obviously a pretty good all-round complete midfielder. Personally, I think that he's still continuing to grow, to develop at Barcelona, and he'll be adding more strings to his bow. Who knows, by the time he's like 30, he may be brilliant at left foot half volleys or a fantastic header over the ball. As long as he continues to develop and can play all over the pitch, it just is better for Barcelona. So lastly but not least, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, and talking of Barcelona, sporting director Guillermo Amor has admitted that they are still in the market for another striker. In La Liga, emergency loan deals can be done between two clubs as long as they both agree on it, of course. Elsewhere, and Arsenal will have to take Henrik Mkhitaryan back from his loan at Roma if they're unwilling to drop their £20 million price tag. Manchester United want to bring in some safe standing at Old Trafford, and Manchester City have earmarked Erling Haaland as the future potential successor to Sergio Aguero. Not just yet, but within the next few years. So there you have it, that's all from me today on today's Daily News, but let me know your thoughts on everything in the comment section down below. Smash the like button whilst you're there and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. Until next time though, I will see you guys soon.